This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband Online Learning Sa Working Data Demana SLT Mobitel.
IWS Aviation.
A very good evening and a very warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Savindri Jayawardena. Let's look at the top stories for the day. Sri Lanka represents a remarkable place in the future international relations, German ambassador to Sri Lanka says. Inflation for the month of October rising by 2.1% compared to the month of September, NCPI data shows. News in detail. Record number of German companies renewed their commitment to Sri Lankan market at an event held in Colombo last evening. As organized by AHK Sri Lanka, the edition of top German brands in Sri Lanka was launched at the presence of Secretary to the President Dr. P.B. Jayasundara. The launch of the 7th edition of Top German Brands in Sri Lanka took place in Colombo yesterday under the patronage of German Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Holger Siebert, and Chief Delegate of the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka, Andreas Hergon-Brother. The flagship event had been organized by AHK Sri Lanka with the support of the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany. The 7th edition of Top German Brands in Sri Lanka event took place in the presence of President Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara with more than 150 German brand representatives, local partners, local authorities and media representatives.
So, 178 German brands. Mr. Secretary, it seems that German companies are having some impact here in that country on trade and investment. Let me point out that German companies have always been faithful to Sri Lanka, in good times and in bad times. Actually, German companies have been working here in Sri Lanka, or should I say in Ceylon before, for so many years. I think these relations are much older than our diplomatic relations. We established diplomatic relations, Germany and Sri Lanka, back in 1953. So this is a long time ago. I shouldn't say Germany and Sri Lanka. I should have been more precise here as well. It's Ceylon and Western Germany who established these bilateral relations back in 1953. 68 years of bilateral relations. This is beyond retirement age. In Germany, it's 67. Here you are trying to increase it step by step, so maybe you will reach one day the 70s, but for the time being, it's still 65 in Sri Lanka. So diplomatic relations of 68 years. Are we going to retire, Mr. Secretary, because it's now retirement age for our diplomatic relations? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's on the contrary. I think we will move on even harder, and we are approaching 70 years of bilateral relations, and we are planning some big festivities in that year of 2023. So be prepared for something big starting in January 23.
German ambassador to Sri Lanka, Holger Siebert, also said the future of international relations will be shaped in the Indo-Pacific region, allowing Sri Lanka to play a huge role. He also added that during the first 9 months of this year, German exports to Sri Lanka rose by 14%, while Sri Lankan exports rose by 11%.
Speaking about bilateral relations, I should also mention the relatively new German Indo-Pacific strategy. So the German government decided on an Indo-Pacific strategy. This is, at first sight, this is quite astounding, because for such a faraway country, why should we have a strategy on the Indo-Pacific? Is there any hidden agenda by the Germans? Are we searching for new zones of influence? What's the background of this decision? I think it's neither of those. I think it's basically two things, two pillars of this Indo-Pacific strategy. First of all, that we are convinced that the future of international relations will be shaped in the region of Indo-Pacific, will be shaped here in the direct neighborhood of Sri Lanka. And secondly, the main pillar of our Indo-Pacific strategy is free and open shipping lines. So we are a traditional trading country. We have been so for many decades. That's why free and open shipping routes are so essential for us. Those are the values we cherish. We are for free trade. We are for fair trade. This is also the reason why mid-January, we are expecting a German warship in Colombo.
Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa told the Parliament that the proposals put forward by both the government and the opposition members during the budget debate will be taken into consideration and further discussion with the President and the Cabinet of Ministers before inclusion or emission of those. Finance Minister Rajapaksa gave this assurance in his reply speech at the Budget 2022 debate just before the second reading vote yesterday.
මුලින්ම ඉතා පුළුල් පරාසයක් ආවරණය කරමින් විවිධ අංශවලින් පක්ෂ විපක්ෂ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් ඒ වගේම විවිධ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨවල නියලී සිටින අය ඒ වගේම පශ්චාත් අයවැය සාකච්ඡාවලදී මතු කරපු කරුණු පිළිබඳව සැලකිල්ලටගෙන ඉදිරි කාලයේදී විශේෂයෙන් මුදල් නීති පනත ආදායම් බදු පනත සහ චක්‍රලේඛන උපදෙස් සකස් කිරීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන බව මම සඳහන් කරන්නේ විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ අයවැය ලේඛන විවාදය තුල ඒ ඉදිරිපත් කරපු කාරණා පදනම් වුණේ මගේ අයවැය ලේඛනේ කොටස් කීපයක් තියුණා මුලින්ම අපි පෙන්වලා දුන්නේ අපිට රටක් හැටියට ජනතාවක් හැටියට අපි සතුව තියෙන ශක්තියින් ඒ වගේම මම පැහැදිලි කරා අපිට තියෙන අභියෝග ඒ අභියෝග තමයි විපක්ෂය විසිනුත් ඉදිරිපත් කරේ ඒ වගේම මගේ අයවැය ලේඛනේ අයවැය වියදම් හා ආදායම් යෝජනා වලට අමතරව යම් යම් ප්‍රතිපත්ති යෝජනා ඉදිරිපත් කරා ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්ති යෝජනා වල ඇතුළත් වූ කරුණු පිළිබඳව ඉදිරි කාලයේදී තවදුරටත් සාකච්ඡා කරලා ඒවා ක්‍රියාත්මක කළ යුතු නිසයි අපි ඒවා ප්‍රතිපත්ති හැටියට යෝජනා කරේ ඒ නිසා මෙහිදී ඉදිරිපත් වෙච්ච යෝජනා පක්ෂ විපක්ෂ සියලු දෙනාගේම යෝජනා ඉදිරි කාලයේදී අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා අගමැතිතුමා ප්‍රමුඛ ඇමති මණ්ඩලයත් අපි රජයත් සලකා බලලා ඒවායේ අවසානයේ තීන්දුව ගනු ඇතයි කියලා මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Stay tuned for more news right after this break.
අන්තර්ජාලය ෆයිබර් සමගින් බලකැන්වෙන තැන ඉස්සර වගේ නෙවෙයි දැන්. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්ම ප්‍රීමියම් ෆයිබර් අන්තර්ජාලය SLT Mobitel Fiber. දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය.
Connect with SLT Rainbow Pages, your true local surge.
Welcome back after the break. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa also told the Parliament that salary discrepancies in the public sector will be sorted out soon, as the matter has already been forwarded to the National Salaries Commission.
ඒ වගේම විශේෂයෙන්ම රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ වැටුප් විෂමතාවයන් පිළිබඳව මගේ 5-4-9 කියන යෝජනාවේ සඳහන් වෙන විදිහට රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ තියෙන වැටුප් විෂමතාවයන් ගැළපීම සඳහා අපි විශේෂයෙන් මම යෝජනා කරා මේවා ඉවත් කර නව වැටුප් ව්‍යුහයක් ඇති කිරීමට කටයුතු කරන බව යෝජනා කරා. එනිසා ජාතික වැටුප් කමිෂන් සභාවට මේ වෙනකොටත් විවිධ අවස්ථාවලදී අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඒ වගේම ගරු අගමැතිතුමා සහ ඒ විෂය භාර ඇමතිවරු ඉදිරිපත් කරපු යෝජනා ඉදිරි කාලයේදී අපි ජාතික වැටුප් කොමිෂන් සභාවට දමලා ඉදිරිපත් කරලා එම කටයුතු කිරීම විශේෂයෙන් මම මෙදී සඳහන් කරන්න ඕන.
The voting for the second reading of the Appropriation Bill 2022 took place around 5:30 p.m. yesterday, and it was passed by a majority of 93 votes, with 153 MPs voting for and 60 against. All MPs of the ruling Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna voted in favour of the budget, while parties representing the opposition, including the Samagi Jana Balawege, Jatika Jana Balawege and Ilange Tamil Arsu Katchi, voted against the appropriation bill.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරු සියලු දෙනාම නම තමන්ගේ නම නිවැරදිව ලකුණු වල තියෙද කියලා බලන්න පූර්ව දිහා. ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ ඡන්දය පාවිච්චි කරන්න නිවැරදිව බැරි වුණු මන්ත්‍රීවරු නැගිටින්න කරුණා කළා. විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ ඒ ප්‍රශ්නෙට මුහුණ දෙන්න මන්ත්‍රීවරු ඉන්නවනම් නැගිටින්න. ඡන්දය පාවිච්චි කර අවසానයි. Order please. විසර්ජන 50 කෙටුම් පද දෙවෙනි වර කියවීම පක්ෂව ඡන්ද 153යි. විපක්ෂව 60යි. විපක්ෂව 60යි. යෝජනාව සම්මතයි.
Sri Lanka's countrywide inflation measured by the National Consumer Price Index rose 8.3% in the 12 months to October, to a 4-year high after allegations of money printing to maintain low interest rates. Meanwhile, economists claim that the commodity prices, which respond to the money printing and forex depreciation quickly, had surged, driving up food prices. The National Consumer Price Index grew 2.1% in October to 150.6 points, and the Food Sub-Index grew 1.9% to 162.6%. The reports also showed that the Food Sub-Index grew 11.7% in the past 12 months period. Economists and the media had been warning Sri Lanka's central bank that money printing creates forex shortage in an unstable peg or flexible exchange rate, and eventually high inflation, especially when the policy of the anchor currency is also bad. The central bank started its currency bout of inflationary policy around August 2019, buying bonds through open market operations, and sharply ratcheted up money printing around February 2020, triggering a $6 billion balance of payment deficit. The 12-month inflation in October 2021 is the highest since the 8.4% recorded in April 2017, when Sri Lanka was recovering from a currency crisis and money printing bout in 2015 to 2016. Economists have also warned that Sri Lanka has been running into a currency crisis in close succession under flexible inflation targeting operated by keeping a call money rate low with liquidity injections, despite operating an unstable peg or flexible exchange rate. Sri Lanka's food prices based on the index had risen 23.4% over the past 2 years. Since the inflation policy began from around August 2019, the food index had risen 28.5%. Stay tuned for more news right after this break.
Connect with SLT Rainbow Pages, your true local search.
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband data balance එක බලා ගන්න, extra GB මිලදී ගන්න, දුරකථන දෝෂ වාර්තා කරන්න දැන් හරිම ලේසි. My SLT app එක භාවිතා කරන්න, නැත්නම් 0112121212 SLT Mobitel ස්වයංක්‍රීය සේවාවට පිවිසෙන්න.
Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The All Share Price Index gained 111.36 points to close at 10,928.6, and the S&P SL20 gained 57.62 points to close at 3,755.74. The turnover was 6.6 billion rupees and over 216 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.